Okay, what is up, everyone? I am here with This is the Comic Way. Honestly, probably the smartest collector that you could find on VEVE. Currently, he's got a ton of knowledge. I've learned so much from him. And honestly, he's been dropping gems. If you haven't been subscribed to his YouTube channel yet, I definitely recommend that you go do that. I'll leave it in the description below. But he's coming out with all the facts and things that people need to know ahead of time to make really wise collecting and investment decisions. So, not financial advice, but yeah, man, super thrilled to have you here, buddy.
Hey, thanks, man. It's always an honor, man. I freaking love working with this guy, Chad the legend. I got a new video coming later today, which I think is gonna blow people's minds away. Okay, so just keep an eye out for that one.
Keep an eye out. You heard the man. I'm not going to say what it is, but I already kind of got some details. So just make sure that you're staying tuned. Do you think it'll drop later this evening?
Oh yeah, it'll drop this evening, and
Okay.
maybe I'm gonna take the helmet out, maybe an unmasking, maybe. So
Ooh, the first appearance.
first appearance, FA, first appearance, Dozer as unmasked individual.
Amazing. I'm excited, man. Well, one thing I wanted to bring up first is that, if you don't know about this guy already, this isn't just your comic book collector that has a few things in the bag. This guy's got, hundreds of comics that are worth sometimes $10,000 plus. And maybe you could show a few of them here if you don't mind.
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, I got so many comics like these. So these are this one. Everybody knows this one if they saw my last video. First appearance of Harley Quinn. Okay, graded at 9.8. And if you watch my video, it's a freaking newsstand, which means that only 1 per 100 were printed newsstands. This right here, almost 10 grand. Okay, graded at 9.8, 10 grand. This will keep going up. This is like my one of the modern, Hulk 181s of DC Comics. First Harley Quinn. Harley Quinn ain't going anywhere. She's only gonna get bigger with you too.
Wow. Pretty crazy.
Here's another one that's insane, dude. Star Wars #1, man. Marvel.
Woo!
9.8, the first Star Wars that ever started it, man. This is another $10,000 comic.
Insane.
Rated at 9.8. This one is gonna go nuts. I think a lot of people that watch this probably watch Disney Plus Star Wars shows. With Book of Boba Fett coming out, this is gonna be insane, dude. First appearance of Boba Fett.
Wow.
Rated 9.8. Also, newsstand. This one's right now 6 grand. When that Boba Fett show comes out in December, it's probably gonna hit 10.
Holy crap.
Another video is the other one I talk about that's gonna explode, man. First Admiral Thrawn, Heir of the Empire #1.
Wow.
Also 9.8. This one also newsstand. This one's also running about 6 grand. So
Crazy.
the ones that it's like a stack of gold, man. It's like 40 grand of comics right here.
Yeah, that's a car in your hand right there. Right?
I got like hundreds more, man, thousands more, man.
That's what I mean. So I mean, this is why I wanted to kind of show this off because I wanted people to know that you're not fooling around. You got hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of comic books. You've got a really in-depth, intricate amount of knowledge about all these collectibles, and I just want people to kind of understand that because it's so important, right?
Yeah.
And you also got some DC collectibles in the background there too. I see a Batman Who Laughs, a Nightwing, and the Rizzo.
I love this guy. I mean, this is actually one of my favorite models on VEVE.
Yeah.
I mean, Batman Live is actually one of my favorite characters. Period. Like,
yeah.
I got a Rizzo. I got those, but no, I'm a legit fanboy, man. Okay, I'm not. It's I'll see other guys that try to talk comics. I'm like, dude, don't be a comic poser. Be more like those.
That's what I wanted to hear, man. Yeah, that's perfect. And dude, you've been dropping gems, right? Like I think your videos have came out recently. You talked about the whole Ultraman comic cover lineup, and maybe you can kind of go into more detail there. And you said that could potentially have been the first Marvel pieces, right? Even though it's not labeled yet, right?
Yeah. So just because it's not labeled doesn't mean it's not a Marvel piece. For example, like the action figure cover, that is a legitimate Marvel Comics cover by John Tyler Christopher, who does Marvel Comics. He does comics. He does covers for Marvel Comics. So it doesn't have to say Marvel. Everybody sees that and they know it's one of John Tyler Christopher's work from Marvel.
Right. So do you think it's possible that I guess VEVE and OMI would actually, at some point put the Marvel badge back onto those covers and people are sleeping on it potentially?
No, yeah, totally. I mean, that's always a possibility. Like the same way the same way I really think they could probably add first appearance to Batman Who Laughs and the Damian Wayne Robin. They could probably do that too with the comic covers. I mean, shit, for all we know, VEVE is working. I mean, I've been so impressed with VEVE. For example, like we bought Ritmo as a static, then he became animated. I would not be surprised if we get that secret rare Ultraman cover, and one day to the next we get an update. Now it's a readable comic. That wouldn't surprise me at all.
So you imagine that not only is it the first Marvel piece, it's also a readable comic cover. That's insane.
Rare readable comic cover. That would be insane. Yeah. That happened. That VEVE collectible would be about 2K. I mean, it'd be rivaling the values of like him and Professor, seriously, like overnight.
Right, right. And people are sleeping on that. Right now, I think it's like 495 gems, the floor price. And there's a reason that VEVE probably sent that to people as the one that they messed up. And they're like, Dad, don't sell it. Like, just hold on to it. And all these people are flipping it right away. So it's probably going to come back and bite them, right?
Yeah, if a common DeLorean could become drivable maybe later, imagine what VEVE has planned for a freaking secret rare. A secret rare. One of only 3 secret rares.
Wow. Man, I can only imagine that now. Like just looking back at, because I think some of the NFTs in that lineup are actually going for under cost right now. Like the Rise of Ultraman, the first comic cover there is going for I think 33 gems when the retail was $39.99.
Yeah, no, it's insane. I think that's one that in my opinion, like I said, not financial advice. In my opinion, that's probably one of the most undervalued sets as a whole. Like,
right.
I mean, it's just what people are selling those for is kind of ridiculous right now.
Totally agree, bro. Yeah, that's so interesting. And you know, one thing that we've been talking about recently too is kind of the conversation between having the very limited collectibles like him, Prof, etc., or having, you know, more higher edition collectibles that are popular like Superman and Batman. And there's a lot of controversy going on right now. People are like, "Oh, I'd rather hold a Todd," and you know, some other people are saying, "Oh, I'd rather hold a him." But you know, you've told me that in collecting comics is generally the very limited editions that do well long term, right?
Yeah, so like I said before, comic collectors like me, I want the rarest possible thing in the platform, okay? Comic collectors like hard, for example, it's like the newsstand thing I talk about where, for example, you got the regular covers and then you got the ones with the barcode, okay? The ones with the barcode, 9.8, the newsstands, they sell for almost double the amount. Why? Because they're so limited. Comic collectors always want the rarest possible version of their product, okay? That's going to transfer over to VEVE, okay? If Todd was the most popular thing on VEVE, Superman was the most popular thing on VEVE, Donnie wouldn't be the most expensive collectible on VEVE, okay? I guess it's our human nature to want the scarcest, the rarest of the items. It's our human nature, and that's not going to change.
Okay, that makes great sense. I mean, I think that's a great example you brought up too with the comic. And when I look at him, we both have a him, which is awesome. And I'm like, man, like 300 editions. Like I know I've said this a million times, but like I go to the grocery store and I see like 400 or 500 people there, and I'm like, wow, like even if everybody in this grocery store had a him, you know what I mean? Like it's insane. It's insane to think how limited that is.
Dude, that's a great point because I was actually when I got my him, I was thinking about it. What's going to be so Donnie, you got 150 Donnies and you got 300 hymns, okay? When we have 2 million users on this platform, which probably could be in a year, if not less, what difference is it going to make the collectible at 150 to 300 compared to 2 million? I mean, it's like that much. I mean, and just think about it. If you think about the hymn, it's only double the amount of a Donnie, okay? A Donnie demands 30 to 40K and him is only double the amount of that. So I mean, if by that same reasoning, him should be half of the price of Donnie, which would be like 15K right now.
Right. Exactly. But people aren't catching that on, right? So people are just saying, oh, it's 3K, and same with Prof. It was down to a K, 450 editions. So these things, come on.
Prof and him, their prices in the future, I think are going to be very close to each other because you only got 150 more Donnies than him, and you only got 150 more hymns than Professor. Those three, this is going to become a mythical set in VEVE. Like, just think about it. 2 years from now, when everybody has VEVE, everyone will always talk and remember about that Powerpuff Girl set, okay? It has, Donnie amongst our community already has this mythical status. Like, Donnie is going to become an icon someday.
Right.
Like, you are the absolute shit if you have a Donnie. That's kind of how VEVE already sees it. Imagine when the rest of the world is using the VEVE platform.
Dude, 100%. And then in that set alone, there's only ever going to be 1,500 people or up to 1,500 people that can even own one piece from the
Yeah,
PP2 set. And Ritmo alone has 1,500 editions. You know what I
yeah,
mean? So if you just think about how crazy that is, and I totally agree with you. Like where Donnie is at 30K, and where Him's floor was at recently was like 3 or 4K. And I'm like just thinking to myself, like, anyone that's like a smart investor would probably be like just stacking up on a few of those, right? So again, not financial advice, but it's like in the long term, dude, I really see that one taking off for sure.
100%. And I don't think people should care about completing that set because let's be real, most of us are never going to have a Donnie. Okay, 30, 40K, that thing, it's like a comic book. Like I don't even buy comics that are that expensive. It already took off. You missed that boat. It's
Right,
the point of buying it before it gets to that point.
right.
You can still buy butter, bubbles, prof, and him. You can still buy those. Okay, Donnie's out of reach. So
Yeah,
don't care too much about completing the set. I think even if you just have one of those pieces, like when I go into a vault and I see a him, it doesn't even matter if they have the set or not. It's such a piece of clout, man. It's like status almost. It's
right.
like the him almost has like a Givenchy Louis Vuitton status to him now. You
It
know?
does. And it's so controversial, bro. Like it looks like Santa Claus with lobster claws that's like flamboyant and satanic and psychologically, warping somebody's like perception on things. Like just such a weird character too on top of that. So I feel like in the future, people are just going to talk about this thing. Like I wouldn't like, I know this sounds insane, but I'm like, to me, that's already a $10,000 to $15,000 NFT, right? And
Oh,
so,
100%.
yeah,
And yeah, I hate to break it to people. He is supposed to be Satan. I mean, that's what
yeah.
him stands for. Did you know what him stands for?
His Infernal Majesty, yeah.
Yeah, his infernal majesty. It's
Yeah.
Satan. Okay? Like, there's no way around it. It is a controversial NFT.
Right. And it's the first villain too, isn't it? That actually is on the yeah.
The first villain, because it's the. I mean, he's the main villain. He's the main
Yeah.
villain. I know we got the only villains on that.
Oh, Mojo Jojo, right.
We got Mojo Jojo and him, and I think that's it. Yeah, those are the
Right,
only
right,
two
right.
villains off of Phil set.
Crazy, man. Yeah, so I mean, I'm with you on that, brother. But and there's a lot of other sleepers too, right? Like even now, I start thinking about like even something like the Givenchy poster, right? I'm like, I know it's the very first time Givenchy's ever put out an NFT, and that whole company that's surrounding it. I don't know if Louis Vuitton's put out an NFT yet. And I like think about the implications not now, but in like 5 years from now, when everyone's in the digital world, what's Kim Kardashian gonna want? She's gonna want the first designer brand NFT from like some massive reputable company that looks badass, and it also stands for equal rights and things like that. So there's a lot of things that like haven't really taken off yet, that when you start to think about it now, you're like, okay, what's this gonna look like in 5 years? You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. And that what you said about people like Kim Kardashian coming, that's gonna happen. I'm gonna tell you why. When Givenchy and Louis Vuitton are signing with VEVE, when
Yeah.
Marvel is signing with VEVE, when companies like that are signing with VEVE, the future of VEVE is real. Okay, the future of VEVE is real, and you're gonna have people like the Kardashians, someone like maybe Kanye West. I mean, you're gonna have
Right.
big names. They're gonna see when you see a company like Marvel or Disney signing with VEVE, it immediately gets your attention. My biggest fear that Marvel was gonna look at these DC Comics VEVE collectibles and be like, screw them, we're
Yeah.
making our own platform. The fact that they teamed up and signed with VEVE is huge. Okay,
Right.
VEVE's almost turning like into the Nintendo of NFTs. You know how they kind of just got this strangle on the market for the longest time. Nintendo, I mean, had the monopoly on video games. I
Right.
think VEVE is kind of going down that same route right now.
Right. I totally agree with you, bro. That's like what I'm seeing as well. Is just like everything's starting to take off now. And I'm like, people don't understand, like CryptoPunks came out, very first NFTs, but now you have the very first licensed NFTs by massive brands, right? Like Marvel, DC, etc. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, what would you rather want? Like, obviously you'd want the CryptoPunk because it's worth $9 million, but I'm saying, what would you rather want if you had the option at the time? And I'm like, man, I would have totally taken the licensed NFT because it seems more official. It's actually by the DC. It's actually created by those legendary artists like freaking Jim Lee, like the Nightwing, let's say. And I'm like thinking to myself, like, man, if CryptoPunks did that 5 years ago, like what are the first ever licensed NFTs like Superman, Batman, etc. going to do in 5 to 10 years from now when there's only 7,500 or 9,000 editions? You know?
And that's why, like, we'll go back to the him and the professor.
Yeah.
If a Todd, okay, if a Todd with 7,500 editions, okay, is gonna fly in the future, what the hell is going to happen to a collectible that only 300 of them exist? That's my thing.
Right. Right.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
think
I
about
totally
that.
agree.
The fact that you got way less hymns than a freaking ultra rare Harley Quinn, and ultra rare Harley Quinn is going for about 6-7K. I mean, let that sink in.
True.
But you know what's crazy, and this is a trend that I'm noticing. People have been actually asking me. People have been asking me, "Hey, Dozer, are these NFTs potentially going to be worth more than comics?" And I say, "Yeah." I'm like, some of them are.
Right.
Okay, some of them are. The fact that the ultra rare Harley Quinn is worth almost as much as that first appearance comic I just showed you, that's worth almost 10K. That's alarming. Okay, that's alarming. That means that these are here to stay. These are here to stay, and a lot of them. I mean, Arizo is worth more than a lot of Batman issues. I have a ton of Batman issues,
Wow.
graded at 1.8. The Rizzo alone is worth more than a lot of them. Okay.
Wow. Yeah, I hear you. And now we have OMI to gem conversion coming as well. So that's
Yeah.
going to be a massive incentive. Like I just think about all these big crypto investors that have like, 50 ETH sitting in their wallets and they're like, you know what? I like OMI. Let me take 3 ETH out and just buy like a Rizzo, a him, and a few other things and just call it a day, right? So I just feel like that's when we're going to see like the big money come in, because before that people were just buying gems, 500 gems at a time, and using their credit cards and things like that. But now with that ability, dude, like you're going to see some whales come in and they're just going to pop these things off. It's just going to be like, oh shit, guys, there's only 300 of this one collectible. There's only 150 of this. Like, let's just buy up the stack that's left and just hold it. People
And
don't understand, right?
yeah, exactly. And I think a lot of the rich, I think a lot of the rich or wealthy investors and people like Kim Kardashian, I think people like that will come once this becomes more mainstream. Right now, they probably have no clue what VV is. Okay.
True.
By the time they come along, okay, and let's use the example of him. There's 300 of them, right? A lot of them are in the possession of collectors like me and you that aren't selling them. They're already locked away in our vaults. Okay.
Yeah.
You guys haven't seen my video of my vault. Look at it. He's there just chilling.
Yeah.
They're locked away. They're not going anywhere. They're not going on the market. It's a limited number. So by the time those rich people come, they are really going to want these collectibles. And I don't know what they're going to be paying for them, dude. I mean, they could pay something ridiculous for a Donnie or a him by the time they get here, because they're going to be like, oh, cool, look at that. They got 10,000 Batmans. They got
Right.
10,000 of that Superman, all the new additions or whatever the mint number is by then. They'll be like, what's the ball? What are the baller pieces? What are the status pieces? Give me some Gavanchi posters. Give me some hymns. I'm like, oh, how much for all those? All right, cool. Like, here you go, $100,000. Here you go.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. And on top of that, what you're saying makes perfect sense. And then it's so much easier when you have a collectible that has such low additions to actually take it off the market. Because like you said, you and I are already taking, let's say, what is that, 2 off the market? So that's nearly 1% of the market share already, just from 2 of us holding a him and throwing it into like, our vaults and saying, yeah, we're not selling this for X amount of years. And so that alone is an interesting concept when people are thinking about what's going to rise in value the fastest, because, once you have like 15 to 20 collectors that are holding these pieces, then maybe you're already taking out 30% of the entire market share, right? So it's just, instead of just flipping, right?
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, if me and you have a him each, yeah, that's
Yeah.
like 1% stock. I mean, can you imagine just going into Robinhood and buying 1% of an entire stock supply? That's basically what we just did. I mean,
Right. It's crazy when you think about it, Yeah.
and it's nuts because I mean, even in the stock world, you see this this kind of it's called like the ape trend, where they'll buy stocks and they'll hold them to let the value rise. It's kind of what they did with GameStop and AMC. I mean, just imagine if you got 100 or 150 collectors of Professor or him, and they all decide to do that. They just nope, we're not selling them, we're holding them.
Right.
Kind of like ape strategy from the stocks. I mean, I can't imagine what people would pay for these in the future. As long as
Yeah.
VV's here, as long as VV's successful, I mean, these are your future like first edition Charizards, first edition Blastoise, like your high end first edition Pokemon cards.
Right. Right. Exactly, dude. And what I said too previously was like, a lot of people were like, oh, well, it's not exclusive licenses, meaning that other NFT platforms could come up and do something similar. And I'm like, well, first of all, it takes years to get a license. It's not like you can just walk into Marvel and say, hey, we want to do the same thing VV's done. Let's sign it up. No, like you're going to sit there for 3 years, go through all these meetings, all these regulations, et cetera. And on top of that, they're the first ones to do it. So if they're already licensed by DC and they're doing the black and white series 100, who gives a shit if Engine comes out or whoever comes out and does the same thing and they're like, we're doing our rendition? Well, it's going to be so closely mimic, and people will like be like, well, VEVE already did that and it's already on the blockchain as the first license. So do I really care as much about the second? You know what I mean? Like this is where I feel like they're really gonna be able to take over, because especially if they get like Pokemon, they start having Star Wars and they have all these massive brands, well, then they've already then established themselves as the dominant platform, you know?
Yeah, and that's actually a great point you bring up. And the reason I'm not worried, let's say another one, let's say another company, like let's say like let's say a company like Quid. Okay, let's say
Yeah.
Quid shows up and they make their own 3D McFarlane. At this point, I don't think anybody gives a crap because the one in VV is the first appearance, and I think that's why they highlighted it. Dude, VV reminds me of Emperor Palpatine from Star Wars. I think they've been planning this whole thing for years, and then when they just released it, Order 66, and then they got Marvel and
Bro, that's so awesome, man. But you're right. Because like the thing is too that people don't realize, you're like, oh, this is the first appearance of DC, right? On VV. But you're like, well, this is also the first appearance of licensed DC in the world ever. This is not VV specific. This is worldwide here. And it's not as if we're receding and going back into the physical world. I said this to the orange bag lady. I'm like, we're getting more digital adoption. And then everyone thinks that we're going to be flying in starships in the future to other planets. I think it's actually going to be the opposite. We're going to be like surrogates into this immersive experience in our rooms. And like those digital things are going to matter 10 times plus more, you know?
Yeah, 100%, 100%. That's why it's kind of funny, man. I love VR gaming. I'm a VR gamer, and my love for VR gaming is what drew me to VV. When I saw VV, I'm like, dude, that's gonna somehow marry VR gaming at some point. These digital assets. Here's a good point, man. And I've been talking to because I have kids. My friends have kids. When me and you were little kids, Chad, we used to play with our action figures, man, like a Batman action figure, a Star Wars action figure. Dude, the kids now don't even give a shit about action figures. They just want to spend money on their iPad or the phone on Roblox, on Fortnite. What they don't know, they're technically buying NFTs. They're buying digital products. They're buying skins. They're buying items for their homes and Roblox. So this whole generation of investors that's growing up right now, when they grow up, NFTs is like going to be like the most normal thing for them because that's what they've been doing since they were little.
Right, right. Man, I really, when I start thinking about it, I don't think people understand the implications though, right? Like, you know, I actually had a conversation with the Todd father about this, and we were talking about like having HoloLenses. And essentially, like in the future, you know, we're on Microsoft Word typing with our fingers, like our backs are sore, our necks hurting. They're going to be in this immersive world. They'll have the lenses on. They'll be moving things like this. You know, okay, yeah, let me write that essay. Listen to me, please. Okay, all the words come out. Oh, let me put dad in a funny costume. Oh, that's going to be funny. Okay, let me put my Rizzo in the back here, right? And like when you have like Kim Kardashian's getting a party, she'd be like, look at my Givenchy Pride poster on the wall. Everybody will already be wearing these lenses. So it'd be like a new layered reality on top of your reality. And like this is the kind of stuff that like when you think about the massive implications now, you're going to be able to really, you know, get that big money long term, because that's what everyone does that does well, is like they look at what is the future iteration of something that already popped. Okay, Bitcoin popped, that's taken off, right? You're not going to buy a Bitcoin for 70K and hope that it's going to go to like 10 million. It could, but you know, what's the future iteration? And that's where we are right now with VV, you know?
Yeah, and you know what? Like wealthy people, they love showing off on Instagram. They love showing off on Twitter. Like they'll even have a photo of their new yacht or whatever. That's gonna happen on VV. Okay, like the hymn. They're gonna want to show off their hymn. I just imagine I mean, what a flex if you had like 10 hymns just standing in front of a bunch of Givenchy pieces. I mean,
Right.
that Givenchy piece is gonna fly later, dude. It's gonna fly later because it's the first Givenchy piece. That's a piece that someone like Kim Kardashian would want. Okay, and I think the same people that would want the Givenchy poster for its status would want something like a him in the room too. There's just something about him. It doesn't even look like a comic character. Honestly, I think it's creepy as hell, dude. Like if I saw him out of my closet at night, I'd probably like pull a gun on it, dude.
For sure. Bro, and it's funny, I asked my subscribers this on a poll. So I was like, okay, what would you guys rather have? And I gave them 5 options. So I said, I think it was a 1939 Todd, a number 17 Rizzo, a number 41 Harley Quinn 19, number 41 Givenchy poster, and I forget the last option, but it was something. Oh, and then it was a number 101 Donnie. And I thought everyone was going to go for the Donnie, and most people went for the 1939 Todd. And then, sorry, a lot of people went for the 1939 Todd, and then most people went actually for the Givenchy poster. And like that's like
poll and I voted on it. Do you want to know
Yeah.
how I voted?
Yeah, I would want to know. Yeah.
Dude, 100% went for the Donnie, dude.
Yeah.
100%
Right.
went for Donnie. Dude, Donnie, bro, if we ever have $1 million NFT on VeVe in 10 years from now, 20 years from now, Donnie's your boy, man. Donnie's your
Yeah.
guy.
Right. And which kind of rapper is not going to want Donnie in their, in their song, right? On their boat. Like,
If I had rapper money right now, I
yeah.
would have about 20 Donnies just chilling.
Yeah, same, man.
Yeah, that
100%.
would probably be like my brand, man. Like the freaking the Donnie crew, man. That'd be like my rapping brand, dude.
I could see that, man. And one thing I want the people to know too is that obviously we got the NFL that's been confirmed, that's on the way. And I know you know a ton about football, and I know that Star Wars is most likely going to happen as well.
100%.
And I know that you're like the guru of Star Wars. I mean, hence the Mandalorian helmet. I mean, I think you know about more about Star Wars than anybody I've ever met. So maybe give them that. Yeah.
So far, like you included, so far people have been impressed by my DC Comics and Marvel knowledge.
Right.
And I'm telling you, and I'm telling everybody else, you guys have seen nothing yet, okay? Just wait till we hit Star Wars, okay? Wait till we hit Star Wars. Wait till we hit. Dude, I'm a fantasy football champion, bro. I've been playing like everybody else. Everybody else was playing fantasy football as a man. I was born in it. I've been playing that shit since I was a child, dude. I'm a fantasy football nut, man. Okay, NFL nut. I own. I'll just say this: I own football cards worth more than my most expensive comics. Okay, my Patrick Mahomes rookie cards are worth way more than my most ballin' comics.
Crazy. Well, and to get onto that topic for 1 second, that's another reason why, I was talking to somebody recently and we were discussing how, the sub 100s are worth so much more money in terms of the mints on VeVe because they actually match the edition number of the black and white series. So for instance, like a Nightwing number 79, if you had the edition number 79, that would be so much more in value because your football cards are the same way, isn't it? If you have the jersey number as the serial number, then that's like, would exponentiate the price of that one collectible. Am I wrong?
Yeah, for example, like one time I saw somebody paid a ridiculous amount. Dude. I think it was like close to $1 million for a Tom Brady rookie, because it was number 12. It was like number 12 of 100. It was like a rookie of his, but it was number 12
Wow.
of 100. That's huge because that's his jersey number.
Right.
Well, I don't know. The jersey number is going to be hard to come. This is why I think jersey number is going to be hard to come by in VeVe, because the first 40 always go to the team. They always go to the actual. So any quarterback, because quarterbacks only have numbers 1 through 19. Basically, any quarterback jersey number will be out the window. No one's going to have it. Right. Like you're not going to have like me. I would love having a Patrick Mahomes number 15 of whatever, but I probably would never have that number because that goes to the first 40.
Right. That makes good sense. Crazy, man. And yeah, so going back to Star Wars, I know that it's on the way most likely, right? I mean, they've obviously announced Marvel, and then we talked about how Disney's definitely a part of that. And so, what can the people expect in terms of your Star Wars knowledge?
Based on what I saw with the Ultraman covers, I wouldn't be surprised if our first ever VeVe Star Wars products are going to be like John Tyler Christopher covers, like Star Wars comic covers, 2D art. I wouldn't be surprised if that's our first introduction to the Star Wars, because they're all made by Marvel. Like that legendary secret rare that we all love, the John Tyler Christopher Ultraman secret rare. That guy makes a ton of covers for Star Wars. They're freaking badass, man. It looks like an action figure. Like they're so badass.
Wow. Right. Cool, man. I'm getting excited because I don't know enough about Star Wars like you do, but man, I'm like obsessed with the brand, and I'm like, I can only imagine like holding an ultra rare like Darth Vader, or Luke Skywalker. Like these are the things to me that even if I was like offered, thousands of dollars for them, I would just hold it because I just love them so much and I just want to have them. You know what I mean?
Dude, when I'm able to display like Mandalorians inside my vault, man, I can't wait, dude. That's when I'll walk into my vault and be like, bro, this is the way.
Yeah, exactly. And how many collectibles do you have now? I feel like you have a ton, and I know you got like 20 plus sets, and maybe people could go check out your vault video, right? If you look at his, yeah.
A new video. I mean, I wanted to show people, I don't just talk the talk, man. I walk the walk. People wanted to see if I was all talk or really I'm a collector. So I'm like, you know what? I'm like, check out my vault. Check out my vault, and you tell me. It's got 22 sets. I got over 200 collectibles, and some of the collectibles in that vault are insane. The hymn, I actually acquired that one after I made that video. So the hymn is on my Instagram video if you want to check out the reel on there. That's a quick one too. So I put a new awesome new video on YouTube with my vault. I'm literally so I show it to you first and then I walk around it again and kind of just point out my favorite ones. Obviously, I'm pointing at like the big pieces like the Dotson Harley Quinn, the Rizzo, the Da Vinci piece, the ultra rare Dragon Girl. Like we said in our last podcast, the ultra rare Labbit, we told people about that.
We did. We did. Man, well, I was loving life. Like, I didn't get one on the drop, and then I saw 420 gems afterwards, and I was like, okay. I was like, like maybe this is gonna be eaten up so fast. So I ended up buying one, and then I was like, man, it's still 420 gems. Bought another, and now they're sitting at 970, lowest floor price.
Yeah, I think the floor yesterday at some point, I kept checking. At some point yesterday, the floor was 1.1K, which I thought was cool.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Nice.
Like it was kind of funny because I remember me, you, VD Flipper, and NFT Jeremy. Go ahead and subscribe to those guys too. They're awesome. That's
yeah,
right there.
that's
I remember all of us before we went live last week. We were buying Labbits for $400, and all of us knew that price was a joke, man. That was probably the same bot that had got it, and it was now like reselling it bot style.
You're wrong. It's so true. He like the guy just programmed everything to buy now with his 1,000 phones, and then he just like, well, I'll just do a 10x profit, like, you know, and then he didn't even think about it because we're all like, all right, like, because man, I would have paid, you know, even if the drop came out and they're like, okay, it's $400 to buy, I would have bought two regardless, because I know 888 pieces is going to go up. Frank Kozik, it's like, you know, second artist on the whole platform, super rare, you know, come on.
Dude, Chad, I don't know about you, man. My freaking helmet almost blew off when I saw that the ultra rare Dragon Girl 2.1K floor. Are you kidding me? Like,
oh man,
like when I saw that, that's why you buy a Labbit at $400.
Exactly. It's the same editions. Like, how could you not project that?
Labbit. Even my wife was like, "Really, $400 on a Labbit? It's so dumb." I'm like, "Baby, you told me the same thing when I grabbed my ultra rare Dragon Girl when she was like 600 gems." And she's like, "Yeah, you're right." And then I'm like, "Look at that 1.1K floor, 1K floor." I'm like, "That's gonna keep going up." And Frank Kozik's like a legend in the VV community, man.
Yeah,
legend. We love that guy. He's a badass dude, man. I love that guy.
Right. Yeah, he's huge. And the thing is too, is like he's massive on, you know, OpenSea and all those things as well. And like he has a lot of physical collectibles that go for thousands of dollars. So yeah, I think it's just interesting how people didn't recognize that. And I think it's also because it's $40 to buy and Ultra Rare Dragon Girl was $99.99. So people were like, oh, well, I paid twice the amount initially to get the Ultra Rare Dragon Girl. So maybe it's twice the price. I don't know what they're thinking, but it's the same editions, bro. That's what you got to think about. We talk about this all the time.
Yeah, so this is what I tell people, man. This is why there's like glitch in the system. Listen to this, man. Ultra rare Dragon Girl, okay? $2,000, okay? 888 made. Him, 300 made. Going for almost the same amount. How is that possible, dude?
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And it's because I think we haven't seen mass adoption yet. So I think a lot of people are joining hype groups and they're getting excited about certain things and they're thinking some things are going to go over others. But once you have the mass adoption, that's when you start to see those limited editions, I think will be worth more because it's just like so few people that can get them, right? And then on top of that, like when we talk about, let's say 2 million users like you used earlier, you know, if a new YouTuber coming in or a big YouTuber comes in, what are they going to want to show? Are they going to want to show something that a lot of people have, or are they going to show something that's like so rare and scarce that's going to like basically bring their name to the top, right? And that's what I think about. Like even in like, we see this anytime in any kind of asset, anything that's really limited and has very few editions always sell for a lot more. And again, that's no shade against like, you know, Todd. I'm not saying that Todd's not going to go to 10K. I definitely think it will. First minted NFT, you know, first release of Batman, first appearance of Batman, first DC collectible in existence. I mean, the first set released in beta, you know, November of 2020. I mean, we can go on for days as to why Todd's going to hit those crazy numbers. But at the same time, these low editions, you know, we just feel like, and you see it in comic book collecting, I see it in the physical world. Like even look at like, for instance, Charizard, right? PSA graded Charizard, there's only like 150 that ever came out from actual PSA graded. And there's only 2 from Beckett that were ever graded a PSA 10. And those things now from Beckett are like minimum 300 to 500K. They'll go to 1 million if they're not already. And it's like, that's because there's only 2, you know what I mean, that are there. And that's the same argument you and I make with serial numbers too. Because we're saying like, you know, there's only sub 200 mints. There's only so many people that can get a sub 100 mint. So it kind of creates like a category in itself, right?
100%, man. It's almost like a first edition, almost. Like the
Right.
sub 100 is like the first edition of that product, kind of. You know, it's
Smart.
cool that you brought that up about some of this being the rarest stuff. On, for example, on YouTube and Twitch, like the video gamers,
Yeah.
if they have a really, really, really rare skin on Fortnite, or they have a really, really rare skin on their gun in Call of Duty, or if they have a mythical item in World of Warcraft, if you just have something in the game that nobody else has, people will actually watch your video because they're like, oh my God, like how did this person get that? Let me see what it's like to play with that. People will actually follow you around in a game like World of Warcraft. I remember when I started playing like years back when it was new. If you had like some mythical sword or item, people would literally like follow you around in the game just to see your item.
Wow, that's super crazy. Yeah. Man, and it's like kind of reminds me of like even like for instance, like a Bugatti Veyron, right? I know it's a car, but I'm like, for people to actually get that car, you actually have to send in an application. Like you can't just go buy that car. Like you have to be send in an application to even meet the requirements to then move forward to be able to purchase it, you know? And it's like, that's the way that I look at these kind of things. Like in the future, you know, it's not as if anybody can just come out and buy these things.
Well, you know what's nuts? If they actually start, let's say we have mass adoption in VEVE,
Yeah.
okay? Let's say we just have mass adoption, like years from now, 3 million users, okay? Mass adoption. What if in that era, when we have 3 million users, they start producing vehicles that we're already driving in the VeVeverse, and they start minting them out in 100 or 200 in like an auction style? Dude, people are gonna pay a ridiculous amount of money for a virtual car limited to 100 pieces that they can drive in the VeVeverse, okay?
For sure, man.
Almost
1000%.
cars in the VeVeverse, if they did that, that would probably be worth more than real freaking physical cars. Okay, like I'd rather have a Bugatti in VeVe than a Nissan Sentra in real life, dude.
100%, man. I'd be walking to work every day if I had the Bugatti and
Yeah,
VV.
I'll skateboard. I'll ride my hoverboard to work, dude.
I know. So what is sleeping for you, bro? Is there anything that's still, I mean, I know we talked about him, we talked about Prof, like those things, you know, anything that's really limited edition will definitely go up. But like, what about some things that, you know, people aren't thinking about? Like, what about like something like Corsica? You know, I'm not sure what the floor is now, but you know, that's could be you know, maybe a future animated NFT or even the Cosmic Chithalu or whatever it's called, right? Like same kind of thing.
Yeah, honestly, man, I'll tell you which one I think is still a sleeper.
Okay.
Definitely Corsica, okay? Because when they've already animated Ritmo, animating Corsica will just be easy. I mean, they've already animated Ritmo, so they have the technology to animate that. Corsica is going to be one. Corsica's going for like a ridiculous price right now, dude. Like what, 140 gems, like
Yeah, that's what I
unacceptable.
saw. Yeah, exactly. I saw that.
My real sleeper, believe it or not, man, is probably Death.
Interesting. Because that's only going for what, 250 gems now?
Yeah, Death is definitely one of my sleepers, man. I
Yeah.
think a lot of those a lot of those bombshells are kind of just going under the radar, man, right now.
Yeah,
But
Big
yeah,
Barda, same thing.
Big Barda is I think Big Barda is an insane sleeper, dude. First ever fully colored comic character on VeVe.
And yeah.
So I don't know if, I mean, it's debatable. I mean, she's already kind of expensive, so I don't know if she's a sleeper, but kind of like Prof at her price, she's not going for that price right now, dude. Like she's easily 1K floor collectible.
Yeah. It's interesting that you say that because before like we kind of had that dip with Bitcoin, like, you know, before the kind of the Bitcoin crash there, like maybe in March, I know Big Barda and Starfire had like a 2K floor at one point.
Yeah, I remember that. That's why I
Remember
was
that,
so
right? Yeah.
That's why I was like devastated when they went from like 2K floor to like 600 gems. I'm like, dude, like, why are people not buying this one? This is like
I know.
a great piece, man. A great looking model too.
And the first DC bombshell. But going back to Death, that's interesting because the other thing I think about is that like it only you know, you only need those two collectibles to complete a set as well. And so it'll be a pretty cheap set for people to get currently. And there's a few things that like people have been telling me about is like the Unk that's on Death is pretty controversial. Like I don't know enough about it, but it was like some kind of like religious statement there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's like something else, like, you know, to think about.
Because I mean, I don't know, man. Death kind of, yeah, she has that controversial vibe, man. Like, can you imagine just going into like somebody's house and they have a statue of Death, a statue of him, and like a Givenchy poster? Like, I think some average Americans would feel a little like weird, man. They'd feel a little controversial seeing stuff like that. And I think those pieces are going to demand higher value for those same reasons too.
True. And I mean, it's still such a low mint, right? 2,666. Like that's, you know, that's lower than Corsica, right? So, I mean, it's interesting.
That's my only beef with Corsica. I love Corsica, and I think she's a great buy. My only beef is I think 3,500 mints, kind of little high, man, a little high for an
Yeah,
ultra.
right. You know what's another sleeper for me, bro? Is Becky Cloonan, the rare of the first set. And I'll tell you,
Oh, yeah.
why. Because it's the first rare
We
in
were talking
existence.
about this yesterday, man.
Yeah.
Tell them. Think
Yeah,
that.
and it's the artist is the first ever female artist, so I feel like a lot of women coming into the app are gonna love that aspect. And then I feel like for the price, I remember like even like let's say a week ago, it was going for like 220 gems. So it's like the floor, and you're like, hey, this is the first ever set that ever came on VV, and I mean it looks pretty badass. Like it's a pretty unique looking character. I know it's just another Batman, but it's still first edition. So I don't know. To me, like that one, I would have presumed if Todd's going for like let's say 700 floor right now, I would have thought Becky would be like 450 to 500 at least. To be honest, I thought Todd would be more like a K, Becky would be like 800, Joe Madureira would be like 600, and then Rizzo would be like 5 or something. But it's just crazy. Like to me, like there's still so many things, and I'm noticing. I don't know if you see this. There's a lot of people right now that are like taking down collectibles, like chopping them down. Like, okay, everyone after this, and then they go and they take it down. But while they're doing that, I'm looking over here at like Becky, and I'm like, okay, like this seems like a better deal right now because everyone's elevated the floor there.
Exactly. You know what other piece I like, man? And for the same reason that you said, Becky, dude, a piece that I really like is the Dick Sprang Joker.
Amazing, interesting. Tell me more about that because I know it's not a first appearance, but I know that there's a lot of people that like it.
This is my rationale behind the Dick Sprang Joker.
Yeah.
For example, right now it's kind of crazy. The first appearance Joker is selling more than the Dick Sprang Joker, which is kind of weird because let me tell you this. They're both from the same set Joker ever arrived in, okay? The Dick Sprang Joker is almost like the Rizzo of Jokers. He's that rarest piece of his first set.
Wow.
I mean, just think about it. People pay tons of money for Rizzo because he's the rarest Batman from the first Batman set. Okay,
right.
So now it's Joker set. You got the first appearance and you got the Dick Sprang. Dude, Dick Sprang should not be going for freaking $200, man. Dick Sprang should not be going for 170 gems. Like,
right.
There's only like 3,200 of them, and this is the rarest ever Joker so far on the VV app. And who knows if we get mass adoption and over, they'll start printing more Jokers, but probably at the new mint numbers like 6,000, 5,000. So if that trend continues, Dick Sprang could become the lowest minted Joker ever, if you think about it.
Wow, that's crazy. That's just actually so interesting because I never anticipated that because you're right. If we have a new Joker, especially now with all the users, if they release a new Joker set, they might start off the ultra rare, like you said, 4,500 or 5,000 or whatever.
3,800.
Yeah, man. So like you said, it'd be the most limited piece for Joker on the entire app. That's smart.
And it's from the first set. It's from his first set too.
True. It was released the earliest as well and like same time. So man, that's a sleeper then. You're right. Bro, you know what pisses me off every night before I go to bed? I think back about all the opportunities I had in March when I would literally go to sleep with Jim Lee Joker's sub 1,000 mints just sitting there in the store, or even Todd McFarlane. Like I remember Todd, I didn't buy one. It was like in the 800s because I was still kind of getting used to everything. And then I bought one when it was like over 1,000, the serial number. And I'm like, man, like just looking back now, like if I just bought up, like even Joker, I think was like maybe 300 to 400 mints in. If I would imagine buying like 30 Jim Lee Jokers, FAs,
that's hilarious. I get thinking about the same thing. Lucky for me, when I got introduced to VV, guess what the first thing that I liked? Guess what, being a comic guy, first thing I liked was this whole first appearance shit. So guess what I did? I bought one of each one because I'm like, oh, dude, first appearance, that's gonna be big. That's gonna be big. It's gonna be big. First Todd.
Wow.
I actually got lucky. I remember when I jumped in and I bought my Harley Quinn, her sub number that I got is like 197. That's pretty damn good, dude.
Holy crap, bro. That's good, dude. Yeah.
And I got this in the store, like just buying out store. And I think my Todd is like a sub 4, like 3, it's like 350, like 350-ish. Todd.
That's insane.
My Joker, I think, is also like 200. Like they're all pretty low because that's when I jumped in. That's the first thing I went for, man. The first appearances.
See, and this is why your knowledge like made you like leaps ahead of everybody else. Because when I came in, once I found out about the first minted, I ended up buying 18 Todds, and I bought them all from like 1440-ish to like 5,000. But I was thinking to myself now, I'm like, man, like things that like just totally evaded me then is like, for instance, the 1939 numbers. Like I don't know why, but I just wasn't like in tune when those like serial numbers were approaching the 1939. You know what I mean? Like I was like, why wouldn't I just hang around every single Batman collectible around like 1940 and just keep pressing buy now on like 3 phones or something to see if I get a 1939? Like, it's just so dumb, man, looking back.
Yeah, like stuff like that. Like that's the stuff that makes me like. I remember the first day I ever joined VEVE.
Yeah.
There was one that was in stock, and I didn't buy it on time because I was still doing my research. I had a Datsun Harley Quinn just staring at me. It was like low. It was like low stock. They were running out, and I'm like, let me find out about this app. Once I was fully on board, after looking at it for an hour, I'm like, oh yeah, dude, let me go get that Harley Quinn. Boom, sold out. So
Wow.
that's how my first collectible ended up being Starfire. Starfire, it's kind of funny because I took all my comic knowledge. I took all my comic knowledge and I broke it down, and that's how I narrowed it down with what I had available in stock. I narrowed it down to Starfire because I'm like, okay, cool. First appearance, check. Low mint, check. Cool ass model, check. So I went for Starfire. I'm like, she's lower minted than all the other available black and white Batman pieces. She's a first appearance. She's semi-animated. And dude, lo and behold, that's one of like the poster pieces now, man.
Amazing, dude. That's a great collectible. Like Starfire to me is one of my favorites too. I think I put it in like my top 8 or something like that. This textured animation. It looks just so old too. Like this is what I love about some of those OG collectibles that you were a part of, is that they have this like element to them that looks older than some of the new ones. Like some of the new ones look, in my opinion, look a little more polished and things like that. But some of the older ones, I'm like, man, like these just look so unique, right? And like I fear, like I'm so mad, man, because when you got on the app, you had Terry Dodson just sitting there. Imagine if you just bought like 30 of those. Like imagine you're like, like let me just $80 a piece
Yeah, it makes
times 15. Yeah.
Like I think all of us. I think any VV person now that was messing around with the app back then, it gets mad just thinking about that stuff. Like,
Yeah.
dude, like some of the stuff I paid from Ultra back then, I was buying like one of everything at that point. Like
That's
I remember
good.
I got like a Mayor for 40 gems, a Marceline for 40 gems, a Mojo Jojo for 30. I was just buying like cool ones for just nothing, dude, for like peanuts basically.
That's insane, man. And like for me, the only reason I was able to kind of collect some of these new ones, like some of the, because I think I told you I traded a lot of my pieces in for really like limited edition collectibles, so I have multiples of those. Is I had a leverage, like I had my Tods as leverage, so I ended up selling some Tods when they're at the hype, before the first Bitcoin crash, and I sold a bunch of those. And then I used those as leverage to get like a Rizzo, to get all the, all these other things. And like you, I just bought one of every collectible when I first joined, because I was like, that's a cool Gary Frank. That's a cool this, that's a cool that. But like now looking back, I'm like, strategically, if I would have just like bought up like 50 Tods, even though David, you probably hates to hear that, and just held them for the long term, man, I could have just fell asleep and never had to wake up again. I could have just woke up in 10 years and be like, let me just sell this off now.
Yeah, pretty much, man. But I mean, the collector. So the collector me, and it goes back to like people really need to see my vaults, man. My vault is cool. I'm a fanboy, man. Like that's no secret. You can't fake being a fanboy. You can't fake like I said, man. Don't be a poser, bro. Be like Dozer.
Yeah.
So I love being a collector, man. That's why I bought one of each. And I love making these vaults, bro. Like I literally love just walking in, just putting these collectibles where they look. I don't know if you notice, like I always team them up with just epic music, man. Like I'm a big fan of like soundtracks, like movie soundtracks. So there's just such an epic feel to them, and they go so well with some of these comic collectibles, man.
Man, I see that with you, dude. I honestly, it's pretty cool. Like the videos that you put out recently too have been badass. Like even that Batman Who Laughs video, when you talk about why it's going to be an FA, like that was pretty cool. And you showed the actual a scene of like Batman Who Laughs in your video.
I actually did that. I did that. I kind of break it down. Like it's kind of funny, man, because I'll test it out with some of my friends who don't know anything about comics, or my wife. I kind of break it
Yeah.
down like almost Barney style and be like, okay, did you learn anything? Yeah, I loved it. Perfect. That's all. Like I'm just trying to like show somebody that has no clue. I put
Yeah.
that video in there, and that's actually from DC Universe Online, the video game. I put that clip in there because it specifically shows you Batman talking to Batman Who Laughs. I'm like two different characters. They are different characters. That's why they're talking to each other. They're in the
Right.
same room at the same time.
That's such a good point. Because when are you going to see in a show that has two Batmans
Exactly.
like talking to each other? Be like, well, no, I'm Bruce Wayne. No, no, you're Bruce Wayne. Like it wouldn't make any sense.
Morales, Spider-Man, Miles Morales and Peter
Whoa.
Parker are two different characters. They're each their individual character. And what I love about that clip is that the Batman Who Laughs even laughs and tells Batman, "Oh yeah, I'm a better version of you with a better humor," or something like that.
All I mean, that's pretty much like, hook, line, and sinker right there. I feel like you should send that to a Comey, and then that would definitely make the Batman Who Laughs more valuable, right? Because I think that's still going
Oh,
at a
totally.
discount.
I really
Yeah,
wish that Comey would see that video, man. Like I wish somebody on the VD team or Comey would actually see that video. And
yeah,
I think if they watched it, I make a pretty good argument, man.
yeah.
I put like my attorney hat on. I came up with the proper evidence, and I made my argument. This is why this is a first appearance. I think I could do the same thing for Damian Wayne, the second Uncommon Robin, which
Right,
is the
right.
one for him too. Like I'm telling you, man, like that one's also a first appearance. I'm gonna make a video on that later, explaining why this is a first appearance. I got a lot of good evidence for that one too.
Yeah, and I know you might have a comic cover that goes with that one, but I think you're gonna wait till that video is released, right? For people to
Yeah,
see. Yeah. So I mean, one of you out there might actually have the comic cover that goes with this video that Dozer is gonna release. So stay tuned for that.
yeah. It's I don't think people realize. I think people until now, like people that are actually watching my videos, truly understand the comic book connection to some of these pieces. Like I see
Yeah.
the details. Like I would not be surprised at all if Dave Yu is a big comic fan too.
Oh, for sure. I mean, he looks like he's on, like, I think Dan Crowther
Totally,
says
man.
this, right? Yeah.
Just by the things he's into, the type of work he loves. I mean, the guy. When I see Dave Yu, it's somebody like me. I know for a fact he's definitely a fanboy, man. He's definitely a
Right.
fanboy. He probably loves Star Wars too, which I know he loves.
Right. Yeah, he definitely does, man. And yo, another question for you. What do you think's coming this Thursday for the drop? I mean, I'm gonna make sure that when we're talking, it hasn't released. But what do you think? Any ideas at all?
Damn, man, freaking Thursday. Dude,
Because
this Thursday, all I know it's going to be a big drop according to
yeah,
what I've been. It's supposed to be a really big drop. I don't think it's Marvel, dude. I don't think it's Marvel,
yeah,
and I'd be shocked if I'd be shocked, dude. Honestly, if it's Marvel, I wouldn't be surprised, man, if we got another. I mean, if we got another bombshells, another black and white, that wouldn't be surprising. If we got the next series of black and white,
true.
because
That'd
I
be
mean,
kind of nice, right? Yeah,
right now that I wouldn't be surprised if they're like, you know what, everybody's excited for Marvel, everybody's excited for Comic Con. Let's just give them another DC set of Cover Girls, Bombshells, or DC Black. You
true.
never know. Or it could end up being Jurassic Park too. I mean, they
Yeah,
could
that would
just
be
put the
nuts,
log on us and be like, here you go, here's your T-Rex. We already finished up the product.
man. That'd be crazy. I thought it was gonna be something like Polly Pocket or like Barbie or like something like that. So I would much prefer Jurassic Park for me, but
Oh yeah,
I
big time.
but yeah, man, it's crazy. It's crazy now to think about the amount of licenses that they have, and and it's going to be approaching on this platform, right?
Oh, totally, man. What do you? Well, it's like you, man. What do you think we're getting this? What do you think we're going to get Thursday?
Yeah, if I had to bet money on it, man, I honestly think Barbie, just because of the new licenses that were acquired, and I think there might have been a hint with the Alcon interview that it was going to be something that like really resonated with a lot of people or something, and I think there was like a hint made towards that, so I'm like, it'd be interesting if it was that.
I've even heard rumors of another like Ron English drop, which I wouldn't be surprised if we did too.
True, because we're supposed to get how many in that set? 12?
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard those rumors too about another Ron English drop.
Mhm.
Hey, so one thing people aren't talking about Mattel. Mattel's a big license, dude. Like, do you know what comes with Mattel that they can release and
Bro, so
still,
much. Like even
bro?
like Fisher Price. Like,
Yeah, but bro, He-Man, Masters of the Universe.
oh, that'd be crazy.
Dude, like, oh my god, like I would go insane, dude, if they just added like imagine like just giant versions of the original action figures that you just put around your vault, like the original He-Man figure, Skeletor, Beastman, Merman. Dude, like I was just nerding out when I saw Mattel. When I saw Mattel, first thing I thought about was, oh man, He-Man. That was like one of my favorite toys
It's
growing up.
insane. Bro, the only thing I could say is this. Like, we're getting so many damn licenses with VV that I'm like we're like I think like a Comey's based like making it almost like an assumption that the whole world's going to get into collecting to make these things worth so much. Because I'm like, when I think about it, like I'm like, man, they're dropping so many licenses, and I'm like, I know the users are keeping up, but at the same time, like not everybody's going to hold like one of everything. Like if you think about Mattel, think about DC, you think about like Marvel, and like just alone those three licenses have like thousands of different potential releases that they can have. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, if we have 10 to 15 million people on the app, then maybe everything's going to be worth a ton. But for the interim, I think it's going to be more selective. Like some things going to be worth a lot more than others. Am I wrong? I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Like I could definitely see that.
Yeah.
I think what they're trying to do with so many different licenses, I think they're just taking like the shotgun approach. We're gonna throw all these different licenses, sports, fashion, comics, and we'll get somebody's attention.
Right, right. And the good thing is that they're establishing that dominance from all those different brands. Like they're pretty much taking the world and putting it on VEVE,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
And I'm telling you right now, man, even VEVE could somehow make me be interested in like a Barbie, man. If it's like, if it's like, just imagine if they put like, I don't know, OG original Barbie minted to only 200. I'm gonna want that Barbie.
Yeah, for sure. Might trade at him for it.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean,
yeah,
I'm telling you, mint numbers. So you already drew a comic guy like me. You already drew a comic guy because of all the Batman stuff. That's what got my attention. That's why I'm here. Now I'm only looking at one thing, man. Mint numbers, mint numbers, mint numbers. I don't care what it is, as long as the mint number is low.
right. Because that's what's going to drive the most value, right?
What's going to drive the most value, man? It's as
Yeah.
simple as that. I mean, it's simple. That's like collecting 101 in like, you know, comics, football cards. It's always like low number, low number, low number, scarcity, scarcity, scarcity.
So interesting because I put that, so I asked this question again to my subscribers recently in a poll, and a lot of people agreed with what you're saying, and that's what my kind of recollection is as well. But a lot of people were saying, well, more popular things might still outdo some of these rarer pieces. And then a few guys that were comic collectors commented and said that's not going to happen because we've seen that in the physical world happen.
So Todd will be one of the most popular pieces because it's the first Batman. Okay, that's huge.
Yeah.
That by far be one of the first collectible, the first Batman, the first VEVE product. It'll be a huge piece. But I'm sorry, man, it won't ever catch up to Donnie, man. Donnie's always going to win that horse race every single time.
Right. Man, that's what I want to hear. Yeah. I mean, and I think that's where my collecting strategy went, is I went really hard into like, what are the most limited pieces that I can get now before they become unreachable? And now that's proving effective. Like, man, even recently, I know that I think you got like a Terry Dotson, like not long ago for like $1,000. And not even, right? 900.
It was like 970 gems. It was like something ridiculous. And I'm like, dude, Dotson really for this price? I literally sold one Barda to grab a Dotson. I mean, that's all I had to do.
That's insane. And then now the floor for Dotson's 1.6, right? So that alone speaks volumes, right? Because there's only 750. So as soon as you take one off the market, like there's fewer people that are going to sell them for that cheap. And then it's like, then because you now have established a $1,000 floor, you're now only going to sell it for another, 1,500 or higher. And then that floor is just going to keep getting bought up and resold unless, people just want to take losses.
Yeah, well, you know what's crazy about Dotson? This is what people don't realize about Dotson. Dude, there is 1,000 more Rizzos than a Dotson. So let that sink in, okay? Right. Dotson will always be the second lowest minted comic collectible on VEVE behind the ultra rare Harley Quinn. And that's a fact.
Right. And that's the thing that's kind of scary too, right? Like a Rizzo, like obviously hype and all these different things are driving the price up. It's the first ultra rare, et cetera. But over time, like that might change. Like you might see your Harley Quinn, with 750 pieces outprice a Rizzo. Like that's a possible thing that could happen. Like at him, it will, right? So there you go. Like
him and Dotson absolutely will pass Rizzo at some point. Don't get me wrong, Rizzo's kind of iconic, but so is Ritmo. But based on their mint numbers, which are still low in today's standards, the Dotson, there's no way in hell the Dotson doesn't pass the Rizzo later on, just based on the fact that there's 1,000 more Rizzos. I mean, just on that alone, it's impossible. The Dotson is gonna pass it. It's gonna happen. Barda might pass Rizzo at some point.
Right. Think about that. Right. And it could be true because the first DC collectible as well. It's the first bombshell. And then you also talked about it being potentially more popular in the future too, because there hasn't really, right?
Yeah, Barda has playing against her. The fact that she's not a well-known comic character. The fact that she's not a well-known comic character is the only thing playing against her. But like Death, that could change at any moment, dude. Like Death is also an unknown character that I cover in my videos. I mean, Death, nobody knows who she is right now, but we got a Sandman show coming up. Everybody's gonna know who Death is later on.
Insane. Man. Bro, well, I just wanted to kind of give the audience, a bit of a kind of idea of how great you are and how much you know. And dude, like, I think we could literally sit here and talk for days. Like, this is just unscripted, man. I had a few ideas and I'm like, you know what I mean? And like, we just get going. But yeah, I think, if you want to follow, this is the Comic Way, AKA Dozer. I mean, this guy's got, you know, a ton of different channels. His Instagram channel is, I think, near 5,000 now, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, I'm
And
getting close to 5,000 followers.
right. And as you guys all know, Instagram has the hardest to get that engagement. So people that are following you, and these are all real followers. Like this isn't no, you know, this isn't like these other people that you say like, oh, come follow me. And then they have like one like this guy's, you know, really legit. And then you just recently started your YouTube channel about a month ago, which is doing fantastic. And then also
A
you're
week
on
ago,
Twitter
I've
a
only been on
week
for
ago, bro.
like
Yeah. 1 week. And how many subscribers do you have in a week?
almost 400, dude.
Yeah, crazy. So let's try to get this guy to 500 subscribers, man. Like, I mean, I think you deserve it. I think you're definitely going to be one of the top gunners in the space soon enough, if not the top guy for collecting. So, yeah, man, 100%. Thank you so much for, you know, for coming on and kind of sharing your knowledge. It's a pleasure to have you. And come check us out on the VEVE show, right? Dozer, we're there, you know, week to week, every Thursday. We come right after the drop. We try to do a video. And I think we're going live this Thursday. So it'll be pretty sweet.
Yeah, man, I'm excited, man. I'm excited for this Thursday, our first live session. But yeah, like I said, we could talk for hours, man. Like me and Chad are good buddies, man. I talk to this guy offline all the time. Like, we became good buddies because we both just have this passion for VV, man. Like I'm not even gonna lie, man. I'm starting to like some of my VV collectibles more than some of my comics, man. That's a fact.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
crazy. Like what a shift, eh? Wow.
That's a place in my heart right now, dude.
Which one's the hardest for you to get rid of? Like if I had to put a gun to your head and said like which one is the
Right
hardest?
now?
Yeah.
Dude, probably him, man.
Yeah, him, man. Yeah.
I mean, I think you would almost maybe agree too, dude.
Oh, for sure. Like it's him's my number one, and then Rizzo's my number two. And the only reason I'm so obsessed with Rizzo is because I got the number 278 on that, which is just pretty low for Rizzo. So
Yeah, dude.
yeah.
Yeah, man. Like I tell everybody, man, subscribe, watch my videos. You will not be disappointed. Okay, I put really good content. I know what I'm talking about. This is not scripted. I've been interviewed by a few of you guys. I'm not blowing smoke up anybody's butt, man. Like this is legit content. So subscribe to my YouTube. I got a new video coming. Okay, I got a new video coming. Oh, and check this out, Chad. I'm unmasking soon too. So
that's what I mean. If you want to see the unmask, that's going to be happening very shortly. So don't you know forget to do that.
So, all right, man. But yeah, dude, like I said, that honor as always to be among the best, man, like you.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's a pleasure, man. It's looking forward to kind of talking more knowledge, and yeah, just make sure to keep in tune with these videos because you know, like I said, Dozer knew about the Marvel stuff, like the FAs, like all these things actually changed, like you know, the value sometimes of your actual collectibles. So it's just important to keep in touch to really know the intricacies of what it actually means when you're buying something, because a lot of times people are buying something arbitrarily and not understanding, you know, how great those things that they're holding really are. And a lot of people paper hand things. They're like, oh, I'm gonna flip this, and they're like, wait, that was the secret rare potential 2D comic cover that like was only released, you know, for a few people. So just keep that in mind, guys.
Totally, man.
All right, thanks, buddy. We'll talk to you soon then.
Thanks, man.
See you, brother.